Everyone in the village stopped what they were doing when they saw a young woman walking toward the well in high heels, carrying a heavy bucket of water. Some people looked confused. Some people laughed because they had never seen anything like it before. There was Zara, a beautiful 22-year-old woman who believed she could turn anything into a fashion show, even fetching water from a village well. With one hand holding her phone and the other trying to handle a heavy bucket, Zara was determined to prove that being a Gen Z baddie meant looking good everywhere. But what happened next became the funniest and most embarrassing moment the entire village had ever witnessed. Before Zara found herself walking home covered in dust and tears, she was just a city girl who thought village life was beneath her. This is the story of Zara, the Gen Z baddie who learned that confidence is beautiful, but humility is even more powerful. But before we continue with Zara's story, if you enjoy interesting African stories like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss our next story. Now let's go back to the beginning and see how Zara ended up at that village well in high heels. Zara lived in the city, where she was known for her fashionable style, beautiful appearance, and love for social media. Every day, Zara spent hours watching trends, creating videos, and making sure she always looked perfect. To Zara, life was about looking good, taking beautiful pictures, and keeping up with the latest trends. So, when the holidays came and she was sent to visit her auntie in the village, Zara thought it would be the perfect opportunity to relax and enjoy herself. She arrived at her auntie's house looking like someone who had stepped out of the city and entered a completely different world. Her auntie's daughters were excited to see her, but they quickly noticed something about Zara. Zara was beautiful, Zara was confident, but Zara was not interested in village work. From the moment Zara settled into her auntie's house, everyone quickly noticed that she was different. While her cousins were busy helping around the compound, Zara was always comfortable with her phone in her hand. She would sit inside the house, scrolling through TikTok, watching trends, and recording herself, while her cousins washed clothes and took care of their daily responsibilities. To Zara, the village was just a place to relax and enjoy herself. She was not interested in learning the way things were done in the village. Outside, while her cousins worked, Zara would rather spend her time dancing to the latest TikTok trends and recording herself. She believed that looking good and keeping up with social media was more important than doing village chores. When her cousins returned from fetching water, Zara would gladly use the water they had worked hard to bring, but she never offered to help them. Her cousins began noticing her attitude. They loved Zara, but they wondered why someone who was part of the family refused to take part in anything. Then one day, Zara's auntie looked around the compound and saw everyone working except Zara. She knew it was time to teach her niece an important lesson. The next morning, Zara's auntie called her and asked her to come outside. Zara walked out with her phone in her hand, wondering why her auntie looked so serious. Her auntie looked at her and said, "Zara, you have been in this house for days and you have not helped with anything. You cannot spend your entire time watching videos while everyone else works." Zara looked surprised. In her mind, she thought she was only enjoying her holiday. She didn't understand why everyone was making such a big deal about village chores. Her auntie then pointed toward the things that needed to be done and told her that everyone in the family had responsibilities. Zara tried to explain herself. She said she was not used to doing this kind of work and that village life was very different from what she knew in the city. But her auntie did not want to hear excuses. She told Zara that being beautiful, dressing well, and having a phone did not mean she was above helping others. Then, her auntie gave Zara a choice. She could either help clean the communal village toilet or go to the well and fetch water. Zara looked toward the toilet and immediately became uncomfortable. She said, "Auntie, I cannot clean that place. Everyone uses that toilet. It is too irritating." After thinking for a moment, Zara chose the second option. "Fine, I will go and fetch water." She believed fetching water would be easy. Little did Zara know that the village well was about to teach Zara a lesson she would never forget. The following morning, Zara woke up determined to prove that fetching water was not a difficult task. But Zara being Zara, she decided that even a simple village chore had to become a fashion moment. Instead of dressing like someone going to work, she wore her stylish outfit, picked up her phone, and put on her favorite high heels. Her cousins looked at her in disbelief. They wondered how Zara planned to walk to the village well, carry a heavy bucket of water, and still maintain her glamorous look. Zara smiled confidently and said nothing could stop her. She picked up the empty bucket and walked proudly toward the well, recording herself as if she was creating another social media video. When she arrived at the well, the young women fetching water stopped and looked at her. Some were surprised, some tried not to laugh. They had never seen anyone come to fetch water dressed like they were attending a special event. But Zara was not bothered. She smiled at her phone and believed she was proving that a true Gen Z bunny could do anything. She held the rope, pulled the bucket from the well, and proudly recorded the moment. But Zara did not know that the hardest part was not fetching the water. The hardest part was carrying it home in those heels. Zara lifted the bucket and started walking back from the well. At first, she was confident. She held her phone up, recording herself and smiling at the camera. In her mind, she was creating another perfect video. She wanted everyone watching to see that even in the village, she could still look stylish and confident. But after taking a few steps, reality started to catch up to her. The bucket was heavier than she expected. The dusty village path was not as smooth as the city road she was used to, and her beautiful high heels were making everything even more difficult. The young women at the well watched her from a distance. Some were surprised, some smiled, others quietly laughed as they watched Zara struggle to balance the heavy bucket while trying to record herself. But Zara refused to give up. She adjusted her grip on the bucket and continued walking. I can do this, she thought. But just when she believed she had everything under control, her heels suddenly slipped. Everything happened so quickly. Zara lost her balance, the bucket fell from her hand, water splashed everywhere, and the confident Gen Z body who thought she could turn fetching water into a fashion show landed right in the dust of the village path. For a few seconds, the entire village became silent. Zara sat on the ground, shocked and confused. Her beautiful outfit was now dirty, her hair was messy, her heels were in her hands instead of on her feet, and the confident Zara that left the house earlier was nowhere to be found. Zara looked around and saw everyone laughing. Her confidence disappeared. For the first time since she arrived in the village, Zara did not care about looking beautiful or making a perfect video. She only felt embarrassed. She quietly picked up her bucket, removed her heels, and started walking back home. The village girl who wanted to prove that she was too stylish for village work had just received the biggest lesson of her life. Zara walked back to her auntie's compound slowly. This time, there was no confidence in her steps, no dancing, no recording, no smiling for the camera. She was barefoot, carrying her high heels in one hand and the empty bucket in the other. The same village path where she had proudly walked like a celebrity was now the path she walked with tears in her eyes. When she reached the compound, her auntie immediately noticed something was wrong. She looked at Zara from head to toe. Her beautiful clothes were dirty, her hair was messy, her heels were in her hands instead of on her feet, and the confident Zara that left the house earlier was nowhere to be found. Her auntie rushed toward her and asked her what had happened.
Zara, what happened to you? Zara looked down in embarrassment. She did not know what to say. She had gone to the well thinking she would prove that she could handle anything. But instead, the village had humbled her in front of everyone. She finally looked at her auntie and explained everything that happened. She told her about the bucket, the slippery ground, the fall, and how everyone laughed at her. Her auntie listened quietly, but instead of laughing at Zara, she simply smiled and said, "Sometimes life teaches us lessons in the funniest ways." That night, Zara sat quietly and thought about everything that happened. For the first time since arriving in the village, she looked beyond her phone, her clothes, and her appearance. She remembered how her cousins woke up every morning to help around the compound. She remembered how they carried heavy buckets of water while she sat comfortably watching videos. She realized that she had been treating village work as something beneath her, forgetting that the people doing those things were the same people who welcomed her with love. The next morning, something was different. When her cousins came out to start their chores, they were surprised to see Zara already outside. She was no longer sitting with her phone waiting for others to do everything. Zara picked up a broom and started helping clean the compound. Her cousins looked at each other in surprise. They had never expected the same Zara who once refused to touch village chores to willingly help. At first, Zara struggled. She was not used to the work and she made mistakes. But this time, she did not complain. She laughed at herself, asked questions, and allowed her cousins to teach her. Slowly, the girl who came to the village believing she was too special for ordinary tasks began to understand the value of helping others. And for the first time, Zara was not trying to impress anyone. She was simply enjoying being part of the family. As the days passed, Zara started becoming closer to her cousins. The same young women who once wondered why Zara refused to help were now laughing and spending time with her. They began teaching her things about village life, and Zara discovered that there was more to the village than she first imagined. She enjoyed sitting outside with them, sharing stories, joking, and laughing about the day she fell at the well. Her cousins would always remind her, "Zara, remember when you thought those hills could help you fetch water?" Everyone would burst into laughter. This time, Zara laughed the loudest. She knew exactly what they were talking about. She no longer felt embarrassed about that day. In fact, it had become one of her funniest memories. Zara picked up the bucket, joined the other women, and learned how to fetch water properly. She discovered that village life was not boring or beneath her. It was filled with laughter, friendship, and lessons she would never forget. The girl who came to the village wanting everyone to notice her had finally learned the most important lesson. True confidence is not about looking better than others. It is about being willing to learn, help, and grow. After some time, Zara was no longer seen as the city girl who thought she was too important for village life. She had become someone everyone enjoyed being around. Her auntie was happy to see the change in her, and her cousins were proud that Zara had finally become part of the family. One evening, everyone gathered together in the compound, sharing stories and laughing. Then one of Zara's cousins noticed something nearby. It was Zara's old high heels. She picked them up and started laughing. "Zara, are you sure you will never use these shoes to fetch water again?" Everyone looked at the heels and burst into laughter. Zara covered her face, laughing along with them. She remembered the day she walked to the well, feeling like the whole village was watching a fashion show, only for the village to teach her a lesson she would never forget. Her auntie smiled and said, "Sometimes the things that humble us are the things that help us grow." Zara looked at her family and smiled. She had come to the village thinking she was too different from everyone else, but she was leaving with something much more valuable than looking perfect. She had gained family, friendship, and a lesson she would carry forever. And from that day on, Zara knew one thing. Being a baddie is not about being above everyone else. A true baddie knows how to stay humble. Before we end today's story, if Zara's journey made you smile, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss our next African story. We are on a journey to bring you more amazing stories filled with lessons, laughter, and unforgettable characters. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in our next story.